Uh, Hello everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm Kenji Aoki, a senior consultant of MBIX and in charge of Asian region. Today, we will report on a new Vietnamese chemical law, which was published in this June. The law is a basic legislation for any chemical activities in Vietnam and will come into effect on January 1st next year. So many companies are now preparing for its new regulations, including chemical licenses, CBI, chemical inventory. I hope this webinar will help you understand an overall picture of the law on chemicals. Before starting the webinar, please allow me to give a brief introduction to our company. Our company, named MBIX, was established in 1994 and has over 30 years experience in environment, EHS, and also chemical regulations consulting. Here shows the main countries and the regulated topics which we cover. Currently, we cover about over 50 countries and more than 20 topics. Our coverage areas are a wide range of environmental fields, not only what is commonly referred to as EHS, but also chemical substance, EPR, plastics, renewable energy, electric vehicles, biodiversity, and others. We can provide policy and regulation consulting service for these countries and topics. And these are some examples of our clients. Currently, we have more than 170 clients, mostly Japanese big companies. That's a brief introduction of our company. As I told you, we have experts in environmental topics in many countries. So in this webinar, we would like to focus on the Vietnamese chemical regulation. And today's speaker is Mr. Dintan Nier. He is one of the staffs of MBIX, a specialist in EHS and chemicals management in Vietnam. So, Mr. Nier, please give us your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Aoki. Hello, everyone. My name is Ding Tan Ye. I'm a senior researcher from the Survey and Consulting Department of ANVIX, and I'm in charge of Vietnam region. So I would like to share the screen for the presentation today. Okay, I'm very happy and thanks to all of you for giving me a chance to talk today about the theme Vietnam Law on Chemicals 2025. The contents of my presentation today will focus on these three sessions. The first overview of the Vietnam chemical regulation framework, and the number two, the key regulatory updates of the Law on Chemicals 2025. And the last sessions will be a summary of the key points for businesses. First, I would like to talk about the overview of Vietnam Chemical Regulation Framework. Oh, here, this slide shows the overall system of the chemical regulations in Vietnam. Which is quite complicated because the chemical regulations in Vietnam relating to many laws and regulations. However, the top and most important regulation is the Law on Chemical, which issued in 2007. So we can divide the framework into two parts. One is the regulations based on the law on chemicals, and one is other. And the regulations based on the law on chemicals, beside of the law on chemicals issued in 2007, Many detailed regulations have been developed based on this law, including the regulation on management of chemicals, which are Decree number 113 and Circular number 32. Both are issued in 2017. These decree and circulars are very important. And other regulations are regulations on precursors, scheduled chemicals, explosive precursors, and penalty regulations on chemical activities, also based on the law on chemicals. And the other one, there are also many other relating laws and regulations relating to management of chemical, but not based on the law on chemicals, such as the law on environmental protection and the law on occupational health and safety, law on road traffic, law on products and goods quality that relating to the management of pulp substance, ozone depleting substances, exposure to chemicals, and the transportation of dangerous goods, and labeling, and some other relating fields. So you can see that many changes in chemical regulations in Vietnam in recent years. This year, in June, the new law on chemical, the main topic today, the new law on chemicals, was officially issued. Before that, in 2022, the decree number 113 and circular 32 were also revised in overall. And regarding the other laws and regulations, uh, for example, the decree and circulars under the law on environmental protection and law on road traffic, law on products and goods quality are also revised this year. So many changes in the regulatory in Vietnam recently. So for details, this slide shows the history and the roadmap of the chemical regulations in Vietnam. The law on chemicals has been issued in 2007 and start implementation in 2008, and up to now, more than 17 years. And the revision of the law on chemicals was started actually in 2020. The new law, uh, the new law on chemicals was passed this year and will come into force from the 1st of January next year and 2026. The important point that at the present, the draft decree and circular that's guiding the implementation of the law on chemicals 2025 are being prepared and public comments are being conducted at this moment. And the other aspect relating to the National Chemical Inventory, NCI, which maybe many of companies, many of you concerned about these themes in Vietnam. The first draft of NCI, maybe many of you already know that the first draft was announced in 2016. And after that, there were several times of supplementary registration for information in the NCI. And up to now, after the April 15 in 2021, the supplementary registration in the NCI was suspended. And I would like to talk more about this point in the next session. Uh, In the next session, I would like to talk about the new points of the Vietnam law on chemicals. Yeah, this law actually contains 7 chapters and 48 articles with many revisions and many new points comparing to the current law in 2007. And in this presentation today, I would like to focus on these 4 points, which I think that will affect a lot to the activities of companies in Vietnam, which are amending the scope of chemicals subject to regulation and supplementing regulations on the use of chemicals and regulations for the new chemicals management and regulating hazardous chemicals in products and goods. And about the scope of the chemical subject to the regulations in Vietnam, I would like to talk about the relations of the own chemical list currently used in Vietnam in this slide. It is quite complicated, but you can see that the overall chemical inventory here uh, include hazardous and non-hazardous chemicals. And the toxic chemicals are also included in the hazardous chemicals. And next are the conditional chemicals and restricted chemicals. And as you can see that a part of the conditional chemicals is toxic chemicals, but with higher level of hazard, all of the restricted chemical are toxic chemicals. Next, a small part, the red part here of toxic chemicals is prohibited chemicals or banned chemicals. And the other type, which are the declared chemicals, conclude both conditional chemicals and restricted chemicals. As you can see that many chemical lists are overlapped to each other, and one chemical substances is need to comply with many different requirements now. And what about the new law? So I would like to talk about the comparison of the trends in subjected chemicals. So please see these images. You can see the important change that you can see here. The restricted chemicals are highlighted in the yellow colors. Uh, the name of restricted chemical changes and replaced by the new definition and new name that chemicals under special management. And one more important change point that the list of the declared chemicals, uh, you can see here, now this list of declared chemicals does not exist. Mm. Okay, there is only an illustration and does not accurately reflect the exact relationship between the type of chemicals. Therefore, the substances in the list of conditional chemicals, restricted chemicals, now renamed as chemicals under special management, also can change in the name and number of substances. So in details, I would like to show this slide to summarize the change in the subjected chemicals. As you can see here, about hazardous chemicals has no change, but the classification criteria revised, and the toxic chemicals has been already abolished and disappeared and replaced by the toxic substances. And about the conditional chemicals, prohibited chemicals, and chemicals requiring accident prevention and plans, and new chemicals, there are no change in definition. But about restricted chemicals, as I talked in the previous slide, this type of chemicals was renamed as chemicals under special management. And one more point, declared chemicals has been already abolished. However, this is a very important point. The important import declaration regulations remain unchanged. So I would like to explain in details in the next slide. Please note that the list of subject chemical can be changed, as I said in the previous slide. And the chemicals under special management we have larger scope than the previous restricted chemicals. And you can see here the chemicals under special management. We include the chemicals subject to international treaties and convention, which which have many requirements and license in activity of import, export, manufacture, trading, use, and storage. And I would like to summarize some new point regarding the management of the conditional chemicals and chemicals under special management, which are much related to the businesses in Vietnam. Actually, many manufacturer and trading companies, and also the other companies who use many type of conditional chemicals and restricted chemicals. Okay, I would like to explain one by one. First, about the manufacturer and trade companies, trade activities. Similar to the current regulations, companies must obtain the certificate or license for production and trading issued by the authorities. However, the certificate or license for conditional chemicals and chemicals under special management will be valid for 5 years. And about import and export activities, there is no requirement of permit for conditional chemicals, but for chemicals under special management, uh, import and export permit are required. This is a new point comparing to the restricted chemicals under the current regulations, which does not require of any permits. And one more point that the companies manufacture and trade conditional chemicals or chemicals under special management, they must have a certificate and license for production and trading, and they import and when they import and export, beside of the import export permit, the subject chemicals must be registered in the certificate and license. That is a very important point that the companies need to notice. And about the purchase and sale activities, the purchasers and sellers of the chemicals under special management must prepare this document named Purchase and Sale Management Log for chemicals under special management. This is a new point, but actually this log replaces the former log for toxic chemicals. Okay. And about the use activities, there is a new requirements for companies, mostly the factories, who use chemicals under special management. And before the first use or when changing the purpose of use, the companies or the factories must disclose the chemical type and intent to use in the National Chemical Database. This is a new requirement for the companies who use the chemicals under special management. Eh, and about storage activity, there are also new requirements. If the company contracted with a third party warehouse for storage of conditional chemicals or chemicals under special management, the warehouse must obtain the certificate issued by the authority, and the certificate valid for 5 years. That is a new requirement for the chemical storage warehouse. So not only the conditional chemicals and restricted chemicals, there are also large chains related to the declared chemicals. And the scope of the chemical subject to import declaration is expanded now. Currently, the list of declared chemicals are regulated in the Annex 5 of Decree 113 under the Law on Chemical in 2007. However, under the new law, the Law on Chemicals 2025, this list of the declared chemicals does not exist. Therefore, companies import hazardous chemicals must conduct the import declaration on the national single window portal, uh, except chemicals under special management and prohibited chemicals. So this means that most of the hazardous chemicals, when the companies import in Vietnam, they have to conduct the declaration. Okay, next, I would like to talk about the management of new chemical substances. And according to new law, the definition of the new chemicals are clarified, which are these. And the new chemicals uh, are the substances not yet included in the National Chemical Inventory of Vietnam and also not yet included in the chemical list approved by the foreign uh, regulatory agency as recognized by Vietnamese authorities. For easier imaging, please see the image. The exist chemicals substances are combined by the Vietnam NCI and the inventory of recognized foreign chemicals, possibly the inventory of Japan and America and Europe. And the chemicals outside of this inventory are regarded as new chemicals. You can see here. And when the chemical substances are new chemicals, how to manage? This slide, I would like to explain about this point. When the companies import to Vietnam, new chemical into Vietnam, they must uh, be passed a management of the process, including a register and management for 5 years, and assessment and approval in the NCI. Particularly in the register process, the importers in Vietnam must submit many documents such as assessment report, including data on physical and chemical properties and hazardous characteristics. And this data might be obtained from the authorized laboratories by Vietnamese government. And after the registration, the new chemicals must be controlled as a chemical under special management, as I explained in the previous slide. So they need to obtain the license for import and export, obtain the certificate as a license for manufacture or trading. So from this point, we can see that the management of new chemicals in Vietnam are quite strict, and there will be more detailed regulation guiding the management of new chemicals in Vietnam in the next future. And one more point. So how is the status of the NSCI in Vietnam now? As I mentioned at the beginning, the NSCI system has been open up to now 5 times from 2016. And this slide I also showed to many companies in my previous presentation. So I would like to summarize again. And after 5 times of opening of system opening, which finished in April of 2021, there were more than 52,000 substances registered on the systems. But not all of the substances in the draft are approved. There are three types of status of the registered substances, which are lack of evidence, had evidence, and approved in draft NCI. So please see this graph shows the status of the draft NCI at the present, update to October of 2025. Actually, the system has been revised in overall in 2023. Therefore, comparing to more than 52,000 substances recorded previous year, the total number of substances recorded in the system now is over than 41,000 and 881 substances. Here, the red bar, you can see the red bar is a lack of evidence, and the yellow bar is hard evidence and need more examination. And the green bar is approved in the draft NCI. As you can see that in the red bar, there are still more than 25,000 substances are applied to NCI, but not yet approved officially in the draft NCI. So the plan for the next time of opening for supplementary registration is still unclear now. Okay, the last key point I would like to talk today regarding the regulations on hazardous chemicals in products. There are there are two types which are hazardous chemicals in products and goods with technical standard we call QCVN in Vietnam. And one more type is hazardous chemicals in products and goods without technical standard QCVN. And both of these two types of chemicals, before starting the sale activity of this product in the Vietnam market, companies must disclose information on the content of hazardous chemicals in the product on the National Chemical Database. This is a new point and new requirement for the companies who want to trade the product, including the hazardous chemicals in Vietnam. Okay, in particular, especially for hazardous chemical in products and goods without without technical standard QCBN, the authority, Vietnam authority, will issue a list of the hazardous chemicals in products and goods, requiring information disclosure in the near future. So, this is also a very important point that companies have to notice. And actually, the now in Vietnam regulation, the products and goods with QCVN, for example, the standard technical standard for formaldehyde in textile products, mercury content in fluorescent lamps, and lead content limits in paints. Okay, finally, I would like to summarize the key points for businesses regarding the Vietnam new law on chemicals. The most important point that the companies have chemicals activity in Vietnam must follow and update the draft decrees and circular guiding the implementation of the chemical law, which will be effective on the 1st January next year in 2026, simultaneously with the effective date of the new law on chemicals. So the chemicals, although the companies need to obtain to collect the information about These are some points. For example, the chemicals not subject to regulation, for example, paint, ink, and cleaning agent, adhesives. And what is the list of the regulated chemicals? There are any change, particularly conditioner chemicals and chemicals under special management. And what about the threshold levels in chemical mixtures? Regulations on impurities, additives, that is still unclear now. And the regulation on confidentiality of chemical information. And there will be supplementary registration into the NSCI or not, and hazardous chemicals in products and goods. Is there any list about this type of chemicals? Mm. And how the companies prepare for the implementation of new law. So I would like to show you some point here. So the key point that the companies have to review the company's chemicals now. And one more point that the companies have to review the chemical management system. For example, about the review the company chemicals, the companies have to check again about the chemicals they produce, import, so store, use, and the components contained in chemicals. And one more, the other aspect about the suppliers and customer purchase chemicals and storage facilities and chemical transport units. And uh, and regarding the chemical management system, the companies have to check again their management record. For example, licenses, the purchase and sales control forms, annual activity report, and chemical accident prevention and response measure, etc. And the other point, for example, what is the validity period of the chemical production and trading license they have now? Mm. And communicate internally about the new laws and amendment points. And also, companies need to coordinate and work with suppliers, for example, chemical storage facilities and transportation units about their conditions, their license and certificates. So I summarize some key points about the new law on chemicals in Vietnam. So and some and proposal of preparation for the companies toward the implementation of this law next year. So thank you very much for the attention.
Okay, Mr. Nia, thank you
Mm,
very much for your presentation.
mm,
From now, I'd like to conclude by introducing our company's service named Environs. The Environs Asia is a web database which provides environmental regulation update information in Asian countries, including Vietnam. It covers most of the region in Asia. For the topics, it covers topics such as laws, we, and ERB regulations, as well as pollution control like EHS for factories. For almost every day, we provide a report about new regulations published in Asian countries. In each post, we summarize the key points of the regulation updates, just as what I'm now showing here. Also, MLS also features information available only locally. For example, Nia, today's speaker, attended an event last week organized by the Vietnam Chemical Agency, which was held on short notice. In the event, the draft decrees for the new loan chemicals are discussed. So unfortunately, I couldn't attend the event, but I heard that there are many key discussion points like CBA procedures and future inventory development. We are currently preparing a report based on the result of this event, and we will publish it on Embrace later. For Embrace, we provide three subscription plans. For one user, the annual subscription fee is 1,800 US dollars. You can put an order through the order form on our website. And now we also provide a 2-week free trial. Please feel free to contact us. Okay, so that's all about today's session. Thank you so much for your attention. After the webinar wrap-ups, a short feedback form will pop up on your display. We would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to share how you felt and let us know what topics you'd like to join for next time. Again, thank you for joining us today. Goodbye.